This is a very special nail demonstration today. We're doing a tribute to Kobe Bryant. He was a huge role model for myself and Greg in building this business. That's who we looked up to as far as work ethic. And we're really excited to bring this tribute to you right now.
Sad around here. The boys really truly love Kobe and truly a hardworking team player, and so we just wanted to really pay a little tribute to him. And today we're going to do a little teamwork, Steph and I. Today I'm going to do all the easy stuff and Stephanie's going to do all the hard stuff, which I really appreciate. So I'm going to go ahead and do the base layer of what she's going to paint on. So we're going to do a glitter press on one nail, we're going to do an ombre on the other nail, and of course, we're gonna be using some lacquer colors, which is our purple and our gold, Wild Fig, Gold 102 Manicure, both, and then we're gonna use a little dark gold glitter. So let's start by getting our first coat on. I've already prepped the nails in Protein Bond, so we have our textured surface that we're working on. And we're gonna get that, oh, I love Wild Fig. This is like a perfect purple color. Get our first layer. Let's grab that gold. Now this gold for me doesn't really, it's not the right gold, but we're gonna put glitter over it, so I'm just using it as the base. So let's get that on. Get that coat so we can do our glitter press. I usually like to do a color under my glitter presses. That way it really pops and shows up even better. Most of the time I like to use black. Okay, go ahead and get it in the light. We're just gonna cure it for 30 seconds. We're gonna do our second coat. Purple. Making sure it's nice and dark, and anything we missed we're going to hit right now. Making sure we hit those edges. For me, we have a purple airbrush paint because I am going to airbrush the ombre. I'm going to make it easy on myself. However, this way, if I use the manicure as the base, I don't have to worry about getting color all over her skin that I'm going to have to clean up. Just makes my life easier. Plus this purple is just perfect. So again, in the light for 30 seconds. Okay, after our 30 seconds, we're gonna pull it out. Now here's what we're going to do. We're gonna get our swipe, grab a lint free, and we're gonna take the sticky layer off of this one because we're gonna airbrush over the top of it. Leave the sticky layer on this one because we're gonna go ahead and do our glitter press now. Reason I took off the sticky layer right now is when I'm glitter pressing, I won't have to worry about the glitter sticking to the sticky coat of this one. Okay. Gonna go from the pot to our nail, all the way down. And keep on going from the pot to the nail, all the way. That way we don't get the sticky on the brush. Once we have everything that we want, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that brush off. I like to wipe it on my jeans. It pulls out everything, and just brush down. Okay, we are good to go there. Okay, so now we have our glitter press on this one. We're gonna go to this one. I am gonna take a medium grit buffer, and we're gonna kind of rough up that surface. Now typically if this was an artificial nail and I was just using a buffer, we'd probably run into issues, but doing this over top of the manicure and then airbrushing and top coating, I have never ran into any issues. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna cleanse it off real quick, just a dry brush. Has a little swipe still on it, but it's good. And let's get our airbrush gun out. We're gonna grab our gold airbrush paint, shake it up, grab our airbrush gun. Kind of harder to do on camera. Cool. Hey, I did it. It's a miracle. Okay, we're gonna turn it on. You did get some on your skin. We'll clean that later. That's extra. Charge you $5 for that. We have our mist, and I always test on the towel first before I go in. I'm gonna hold a finger like this. Usually I would have a finger stand, but we're just gonna hold it, and we're just gonna hit the top. Let it dry out a little bit. You can move on to the other nails if you're working on multiple nails, or I'm gonna hold it down and let just the air hit it to dry it a little bit, and then just darken it up a little bit more. Hit the side, and I ran out of paint. Number one reason why you wear gloves. We have enough on the nail, so I'm not gonna worry about putting any more in. Clean myself off a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and top coat. And again, I think we've talked about this before, is having a top coat for solid nails and a top coat for glitters. We are going to break that rule because I have no idea how many top coats we have up here. And we're just gonna go ahead and apply it over the top. Make sure I hit the sides and around the tip. I never worry about capping unless I'm airbrushing. Get on this one, seal it. Okay, let's get it in the light for 1 minute. We're gonna grab our swipe. I'll cleanse that nail off. This also will get everything off the skin, which is nice. And I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of the nails up, and then Stephanie gets to do the hard part of hand painting.
Okay, so now that Tracey has laid down the groundwork and I have this beautiful background to work off of, I'm gonna go ahead and do some hand painting with Mission Control. We're gonna use colors Overdrive and Fizz. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on the Kobe logo over top of the ombre that we've already created. Okay, to start, I'm gonna grab Fizz and a spatula and just take a little bit of this out. I'm gonna start by just making sure that I have a lot of product on my brush. I'm using my Young Nails striper brush. And what I'm gonna do is find my center point on my nail and then just kind of start there and go ahead and drag all the way down to my lowest point. So I'm just gonna try to bring this down, make sure that I'm in the center, and start kind of thickening this up a little bit. Mission Control paint is amazing for intricate art because it actually doesn't move or separate while you're painting. Sometimes when you're working with a gel paint or a gel polish, you'll put down a line and it almost kind of starts to swell and you feel like you're kind of chasing your design. Mission Control gel paint really stays in the place that you put it, and so it's very, very easy to create intricate designs. You can see that when I'm painting, I'm just adding small subtleties to it as I go, rather than trying to draw like the full outline. I'm just kind of starting to grow the design as I'm working. When you're doing art, a lot of it has to do more so with the pressure that you're applying to your brush. If I want a really fine line, I just use a light amount of pressure, and I'm focused more at the tip. If I'm trying to create a thicker line, I just go ahead and lay the full brush down, and with more pressure, I'm able to paint a larger piece. Young Nails has a couple different art brushes. We have the striper brush is what I'm working with right now, and this is actually one that I've kind of refined a little bit. I've clipped some of the bristles out, making it even finer. We also have a micro detailer brush, which has a little bit of shorter bristles and it's a finer point. I prefer the longer haired brushes just because I feel like I can kind of get them to flow and move with me. It's all about preference and just trying different brushes and finding out what's going to work for you. When I'm painting, I honestly am kind of looking at it almost like a rough draft to start, kind of like I'm sketching, and then I just kind of start to refine with all of the details as I get towards the end. So if it's not always looking exactly perfect during the process, that's okay, as long as you have an idea of what you're going for in the end result. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with where this is positioned, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the light just to kind of flash cure it into place. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in the light for about 10-15 seconds and then continue on with the design. Now I'm gonna start working on the top pieces of the design. This is the top corner for me. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, trying to keep it even. I'm gonna look and try to do the same thing over here on the other side. I'm gonna turn my hand so you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay, so generally speaking, I think I have the shape I'm going for. I'm gonna refine it just a hair over here on the top corner. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fill all of this in. So I think you may be able to see a little here on camera, right around this area where it starts to kind of, if you know, the bottom piece is cured, so right here we can kind of see where I'm pulling down. That might look like there's going to be some lumps or texture. With gel top coats, you really can't feel anything like that. So once you put your top coat on, it's going to smooth out the whole design and make it look nice and even. At this point, you could go for a gel brush, like a gel sculptor brush, just so that you can get this done a little bit faster. I already had my striper brush out and didn't feel like there was much, so it's working for me, but it's all preference. Okay, so I feel like I have most of the base shape together, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the light, and then we'll get started with some of the details. Grab my tile and my overdrive mission control and put that down on my tile. We get questions sometimes about our tile as well as the painting knife, the spatula that we use. The tiles are available at any kind of home improvement store like Lowe's or Home Depot, and the spatula that I use is just a painter's knife, which is usually found at any kind of a craft store. So same as before, I'm just going to start rolling my brush through the mission control just so that I have it nice and saturated. And once I feel like my brush is nice and loaded up, I'm kind of going to twist it out into a point. So I'm just going to lay my brush down directly down the center, creating a nice straight line. And I'm going to do the same thing from this end and just pull that straight down. I am just kind of laying my brush down so that it's balancing itself and pulling that all the way down to the point. And I feel like these are just a tad uneven. Not a big deal. We can just take some swipe, remove that, and start fresh. So from my center all the way up to the outside. We're going to do the same thing coming back down. And I'm just kind of retracing the line so that I'm sure it has the same consistency all the way down. And to eliminate the risk of possibly wiping it off again, I'm going to flash cure that for about 3 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create my little starting point over here and pull that from the side up to the center. Since I'm trying to match on the other side, I'm going to try to rotate my hand a little bit and just come from the center out to the side. We're going right up here to the top corner. And again, the same thing on the other side, coming from where that point meets. I'm laying my brush down so it keeps a nice even line. And so some of these lines in the image I'm looking at are a little bit thicker, so I'm just kind of going to accentuate this center line that I have right here. Again, I'm just making it thicker by using more pressure on my brush. And I'm going to do the same thing again by pulling it all the way down through the center of the design. Since I'm happy with what I have here and I don't want to start all the way over, I'm going to flash cure this for another 3 seconds. Alright, so after I've came out of the light, I'm going to go ahead and refine some of these lines just by kind of thickening them up a little bit. Pulling that all the way out to the side. And same thing over here. I have a bit more product on my brush, and I'm just kind of laying the brush down to make these a little bit more defined. Same on this corner. Okay, and all right, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the light one more time. Now I'm gonna start focusing on the outline of the design. So I'm kind of just gonna trace the outside of everything and make sure that everything is nice and tight. So when we're doing our outline of a design, it almost always just really makes the design pop. Sometimes I'm questioning a look, and then as soon as I get the outline done, it really just brings it all together. Again, really just trying to focus on laying the brush down so it's doing more of the work for me. So I feel like down here on the edge, it kind of needs to go into more of a point rather than that smooth kind of angle. So I'm just gonna kind of thicken this with my brush a little bit to give myself more of an edge. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, I'm gonna pop this in the light and go ahead and finish up the other nails, and we'll get back to you with the final look. Okay, now that I've finished the design, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my Young Nails stain resistant top coat and get top coat on these. All right, we're gonna go in the light for 60 seconds and we'll get back to you guys with the final look.